Hello, it's 9 p.m. in Art. This time to English New Edition for tonight's headlines. We have the Head of State receives the High Representative of the African Union for the Horn of African region. The launch of the mapping project of the National Association. For the international scene, German voters called to the polls. Welcome to our newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, received late this morning the High Representative of the African Union for the Horn of Africa region and former President of the Republic of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo. The High Representative of the African Union, Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo, is in Djibouti as part of a tour of neighboring countries to strengthen peace and security in the region. More precisely, this meeting with the number one of the Republic has served as a framework for the development of the general inventory of security issues and conflict situations in this part of the world. Indeed, this meeting with the head of state was an opportunity to exchange, identify, but above all, to develop integrated approaches conducive to the settlement of political dispute that arises in this part of Africa. It should be recalled that Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo, with a rich political experience and impeccable reference of commitment, will bring noble solutions anchored in the ideals of Pan-Africanism. This meeting was attended by the head of the diplomacy of the government spokesman Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, Ambassador Guelleh Idris Umar, and the advisors to the diplomatic advisor of the head of state, Ms. Fathia Jama Udin. On the other hand, the High Representative of the African Union was accompanied by his close collaborators. Listen now to the High Representative of the African Union for the Horn of Africa region, former President of Nigeria, Mr. Olusegun Obasanjo.
Really, all I've come for is to formally intimate the President of what he knows already, but formally intimating him, and then, of course, seeking his insight, his knowledge, his ideas about the situation in the Horn of Africa. Since I was appointed the High Representative of the AU Commission for the Horn of Africa to promote peace, security, stability, political dialogue, and development and welfare and well-being of all the people of the Horn of Africa. I believe that having received the mandate and the explanation of the mandate from the chairperson of AU, that my next line of action should be to consult with leaders of the Horn of Africa and hear their point of view on the situation in the Horn of Africa in totality, but particularly advising me on what is the center of gravity, what is the one that is important, whose solution will ramify or have effect on almost the entire region. Now, what are the priorities? How do we prioritize so that we do the first thing first and we do not make the mistake of tackling the impossible, which will complicate matters?
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, said for his part that this meeting with the number one of the Republic has served as a framework for the development of a general inventory of security issues and conflict situations in this part of the world. Indeed, this meeting was an opportunity to exchange, identify, but above all to develop integrated approaches conducive the settlement of political dispute that arises in this part of Africa. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed presided this morning at the People's Palace the launching ceremony of the project of mapping of national associations. This ceremony, rich in emotion, was organized by the National Federations of Djiboutian Associations, chaired by the young Megag Ahmed Mahmoud. The launch of this major project, which is to map the Djiboutian associations, has the purpose of ensuring better support for these associations and allow them to be dynamic and flourish in their respective activity. The registrations campaign of Djiboutian associations will be conducted by a group of young volunteers experienced and trained by the National Federation of the Djiboutian Association. They will crisscross the capital on the 5 regions of the interior. The ceremony was attended by the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, the Minister of Budget Abdul Karim Aden Sher, the Minister of Women and Family Muna Osman Aden, the representative of UNDP, the President of the Civil Society, and several presidents of Djiboutian associations. The president of the National Federation of Djiboutian Association said in this part, said for his part, the launch of the president of the Djibouti Civil Society said for his part, the launch of this major project, which is to map the Djiboutian associations, has the purpose of ensuring better support of these associations. For his part, the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed has indicated for his part that the launch of this major project, which is to map the Djiboutian associations, has the purpose of ensuring better support for these associations and allow them to be dynamic and flourish in their respective activities. The registration campaign of Djiboutian associations will be conducted by a group of young volunteers experienced trained in the National Federation of Djiboutian Association. Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed convened today in the meeting room of the Primacy the Minister of the Health, the Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Ribal Abdillah, the Minister of Budget, Abdul Karim Aden Sher, the Scientific Committee Against COVID-19. During this meeting, it was discussed in particular the rise of curve of COVID-19 observed in recent days. The Minister of Health, Dr. Ahmed Roble, and gave an overview of the situations of COVID-19 in Djibouti. He said that our country is experiencing a rise in the curve of COVID-19 and that the epidemiological situation in Djibouti is likely to explode. He also proposed to the Prime Minister and Scientific Committee to proceed to work quickly enough. He also proposed it to the Prime Minister and the Scientific Committee to proceed to work quickly enough to counter a massive evolutions of the epidemic in Djibouti. The Minister of Budget reassured him to the Scientific Committee of the availability of funds and budget to fight effectively this pandemic. He also said that it is more than ever mobilized all the means necessary to protect our population from this pandemic. After the official launch of the accelerated strategy of anti-COVID-19 vaccination, the Ministry of Health deployed in the vaccine bus in the neighborhoods of Engela, in the municipality of Balaus, and the Nasib neighborhood in the peripheral commune of Balbala. Early in the morning, the team of the different health committee in the neighborhoods carried out a door-to-door campaign in order to sensitize the population to get vaccinated in their neighborhoods. On this first day, nearly 100 people responded favorably to this initiative to bring the vaccines against COVID-19 closer to their homes in order to increase the overall vaccination coverage. At the same time, a second outreach vaccination site was opened in the Nasib neighborhoods in Balbala, where a similar number of people were able to benefit from the COVID-19 vaccine. In the coming weeks, the Ministry of Health will deploy these vaccine buses according to the pre-established plan to crisscross the entire capital working class neighborhoods in order to facilitate access to vaccine for the population. The Minister of Justice has received this morning the ambassador of the United States in Djibouti, Mr. Jonathan Pratt. During this meeting, the minister welcomed his guests. The two authorities then discussed in a friendly manner global issues such as the prospect for the bilateral cooperation. During this meeting, the U.S. ambassador reviewed with the Minister of Justice several issues of common interests, including bilateral relations between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States. The Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hibo Momin Asowe, visited this morning the city hall of Djibouti to meet with the mayor of Djibouti and the neighborhood councillors. The mayor of Djibouti, Ms. Fatuma Awali Osman, congratulated the minister for her appointment as head of the Department of Youth and Culture. This contact meeting is organized in order to impregnate the role of the neighborhood councils and offer them an offices within each community development center to improve the actions of the youth. The Minister of Youth and Culture recalled that the Neighborhoods Council play a great role in the development of youth and culture. Given their role, the Neighborhood Councils are the closest agents to citizens and play a leading role in raising awareness and bringing citizens together. The mayor of Djibouti City, Fatuma Awali Osman, held a meeting with the neighborhood councillors this Sunday, September 26, 2021, in the meeting room of the City Hall. This meeting is organized within the framework of the Great Operations of Cleaning, which will have on October 5, 2021 in the capital in order to embellish the grid and arteries of the capital, give their role. The neighborhood councillors are the agents closest to the citizens and play a leading role in the awareness and rapprochement of the citizens in a common goal, the beautification of the city of Djibouti. The mayor of Djibouti, Fatuma Awali Osman, invited the neighborhood councillors in particular and the population of the capital in general to ensure the beautification of their neighborhoods, and all those who offend the law will be severely punished by the regulations in force. In the continuity of the distribution of materials to vulnerable people, in the collaboration with the Minister of Education, a delegation of women parliamentarians proceeded yesterday a distribution of school kits for the benefit of families affected by the latest fire declared in the neighborhoods of Warabale and Pika 12. The materials distributed consist of 30 uniforms and 300 uniforms and 300 school kits, including books, supplies, textbooks, and backpacks. More than 600 children benefited from this distribution. These actions are part of actions are part of the benefit the fight against poverty. The population of the district Warabali and Pika 12. These women parliamentarians were composed of Ms. Hussein Abdul Qadir, Ahadi Ahmed Berkale, Nouri Abdul Qadir, Khaltoum Saeed, Ubah Abdullahi, Aisha Habib, Shukri Ali, and Roda Ahmed. The parliamentarian said for their part that the materials distributed consisted of 300 uniforms and 300 school kits, including books, supplies, and textbooks, and backpack. More than 600 children benefited from this distribution. The Regional Maritime Training Center, in collaboration with the International Maritime Organization, continues its mission to implement the Djibouti Code of Conduct in accordance with the Resolution 3 of the COC meeting in Jeddah in January 2017. The MRCP DRTC continues to promote trainings and capacity building for the maintenance of maritime safety and security in accordance with the mandate given to it by the COCD signatory countries in May 2011, with the financial contribution of the governments of Djibouti and Japan and the technical assistance of the International Maritime Organizations and the Regional Maritime Training Center continues its regional missions. It is in this context that the Maritime Center welcomes you to these trainings on the International Convention on Maritime Searches and Rescue, the SAR Convention, adopted on April 27 in 1979 at the conference held in Hamburg, and entered into the forces on June 2020 in 1985, aimed at developing an international SAR plane so that no matter where an accident occurs, the rescue of persons in distress at sea is coordinated by a search and rescue organizations, and if necessary through cooperation between search and rescue organizations of neighboring countries. For her part, the executive directors of the Regional Maritime Training Center said that I would like to point out that the government of Japan has established a trust fund at the International Maritime Organization and as part of the promotion and implementation of the COCD in order to support the Maritime Center for Training and DRTC mandate to promote regional training. The National Agency for Persons with Disability, NPH, in collaboration with the Turkish agency and TICA, organized this morning's distribution ceremony of wheelchairs. The initiative, which benefited from gestures of solidarity from TICA, would, according to the instigator, improve the living conditions of the disabled boys and girls in our country and facilitate their social integration. The event took place at the headquarters of the ANPH in the presence of the Director General of this agency, Douale Said Mahmoud, the Ambassador of Turkey in Djibouti, Salim Levente Shainkaya, and the Director General of TICA, Mr. Kult Luhan Yuthel, and the officials of this agency. The Director General of this agency, Douale Said Mahmoud, said in his speech, "It is a great pleasure for me that today we have gathered this morning in a ceremony of distributions of wheelchairs which are intended to improve the mobility of disabled people living under our skies." The initiative, which benefited from gestures of solidarity from the ANPH, would allow, according to the instigators, to improve the living conditions of the disabled people of our countries and to facilitate their social integrations. The objective of this ceremony of distribution of wheelchairs, a little joy to children with special needs and their parents. The meeting room of the Hotel Acacia hosted this mornings to host a workshop presentation and validation of the results and studies on the employment opportunities and demand for skills on the building sectors and public work, BTB, which will last from September 26 to September 28. This workshop has the general purpose of studying the recruitment outlook, and the needs for private skills in the B2B sector. Present were the USA Director's representative of the construction companies, sector representatives, and departments. It was urgent that a real survey of companies in the formal sector is conducted as studies on the private sector, and ANFIP through the national observations of employment and qualification has, in accordance with its mission of collection, conducted a survey on job creation opportunities and skills needs of companies in the construction sector in partnership with the Djibouti Employability Project funded, implemented by Education Development Center. As part of the fight against smuggling and following a cross-check of information, the gendarmes of Ali Sabih Brigade, in collaboration with their colleagues from the customs, says a large quantity of smuggled cat on September 24. Indeed, a prototype vehicle was intercepted with the 6 large parcels of smuggled cat on board to be resold on the black market. In total, the gendarmes and customs officer says it's 600 packages of cat with the market values of about 600,000. In accordance with the procedure, all the contraband was destroyed by fire. Introduced from the Ethiopian borders, these illegal transported cat are damaging the national territory, the economy. Thus, the High Command of the Gendarmerie warns once again any offenders against these types of crime. For the international scene, German voters are called to the polls this Sunday, September 26, to turn the page of Merkel in the most indecisive legislative elections in their history, pitting Social Democrat and Conservatives neck and neck. Polls opened at 8 a.m. in Germany, which has a 60.4 million voters, but about 14% undecided. According to polls, many voters, including Angela Merkel, choose to vote by mail to elect their representatives. The Social Democrat of current finance ministers Olaf Scholz are slightly ahead of Armin Laschet, conservatives, who have historically low scores of 22 to 23%, according to the latest polls, but the gap between the Chancellor's center-left and center-right parties is too small to make any real predictions. This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.